Hi everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Ask the Expert series, a format designed for more interaction and communication with you. In 30 minutes max, we will talk and we will tell you everything about ransomware and how to deal with them. Also, in this session, we will open at the end the Q&A session, and you will be able during all the discussion with our experts, you will be able to raise your question in the chat area. So do not hesitate to do so in order to have your answer at the end of the show. So, as I was saying, we are going to talk about ransomware, and for that, today I'm pleased to be with Sebastien Viou, who is the Product Director Security, to give us some insights and some figures and a global overview about ransomware. Good afternoon, Sebastien.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Also, I'm here with Mark Johnson, who is the Presales Engineer for the Stormshield solution, Stormshield Endpoint Security Evolution. And he will give us more a technical approach and a technical expertise of how ransomware works. Good afternoon, Mark.
Hello, Manuel. Hello, everyone.
Welcome, guys. Before we dive into the discussion, Mark, I would like to know, a quick definition about what a ransomware is.
Yeah, sure. So ransomware is software like shareware, freeware.
Yes.
It's a program. But this particular program is going to block access to your data, and you're going to have to pay to get it back. Typically, it's going to encrypt your data, and you'll need to get a decryption key, which you pay for to get it back. As opposed to a ransom attack, for example, is a much broader subject. And for a ransom attack, criminals are going to target a company or organization to hold their data to ransom. And this might include ransomware, where they'll encrypt the data.
Yes.
Or they might just simply steal the data, and you'll have to pay so that they won't publish it.
Okay, I see. Thank you. And Sebastien, for a general point of view, what do ransomware represent in terms of figures or some numbers?
Yeah, some numbers. We have the statistics of the ENISA, the European Cybersecurity Agency.
Yes.
In 2020, they referenced about 300 ransomware attacks on critical infrastructure. This number is huge because it has doubled compared to 2019.
Yes.
Also, the ransom paid in 2019 was 10 billion euros.
Yes.
Confirmed by the ENISA.
Right.
And it's 3 billion more than 2018. So those are pretty huge numbers regarding this threat.
Okay. And from, our internal data, would you have more specific figures on that?
Yes, we gathered some data from our sandbox solution, BreachWriter. We saw that about one file over 500 is malware, and 80% are droppers.
Yes.
Droppers of ransomware, of course. So it means we have a lot of ransomware going through the internet today.
So you pointed out the 1 over 500. Is that a lot or not?
Well, you can compare it to the probability to win at the lottery.
Yes.
But if you put this number in perspective, you during a year you have a lot of files received by email, more than 2,000 or 3,000, depends on your work. So it means that you can receive 3, 4, or 5 dropper or ransomware on your computer by email, and this is 5. This is 5 too much. This is still too much. 5.
Yes,
it's a lot of chances to be hacked, actually.
Okay, I understand. And Mark, for the ransomware, what's the main point, the main objective, or the?
The point of ransomware is to make money. The
Yes.
criminals, it's a profitable business for criminals, and they're going to target organizations or companies which are most likely to pay. So we've seen a lot of headlines where they've targeted emergency services, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Sebastien, do you have some examples in mind about the money?
Yeah, but the first example I have in mind is not making money. Actually, it's the first case of death
Yes.
attributed to a ransomware, and it was in Düsseldorf, in the Düsseldorf hospital, which has been attacked last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the attack was actually targeting the university nearby, but the two were interconnected, because the hospital was working with the university, and the malware spread into the hospital, and a woman couldn't be taken in charge soon enough. So it's actually the first case of death attributed to a malware, a ransomware. That's very huge. It's a big change, I think, for the future. Regarding your question, there's of course a lot of ransom asked every day to a lot of companies. We have the example of Saint-Gobain. It was 3 or 4 years ago, but
yes.
Still it was a huge attack. We have this Charmel in France. We have Colonial Pipeline in the US. We have Acer also, the computer manufacturer. And all those companies have been victim of a ransomware attack and asked to pay a ransom. I didn't say they paid it, but it's all those examples are big numbers.
So I'm guessing, by the way, that there is some kind of extortion from these cyber criminals. And what are these different types of extortion that they can abuse?
We have referenced to 4 kinds of extortion. The first one is tampering with the integrity of the data, and it's done by encrypting the data, so you can't access it anymore. It can be associated to the availability also, but the fact is the data is changed, so it's more integrity, and you have to pay to recover it. The second one is the confidentiality attack. So in this case, the cyber criminals are stealing the data before encrypting it, and so it's you to diffuse it on the internet. So they ask you to pay to keep the data confidential. And this is very efficient in Europe because of the GDPR. So you are also under the risk of having a fine from the government. The third one is the availability. And in this case, the cyber criminals are making a denial of services attack in addition to the encryption. So they are trying to force you to pay quickly to recover your access to your information system and to the data. They are putting pressure on you. It's always about pressure put on the victim, not letting the victim the time to react or to think. And that's one of the ways they do it. And the fourth one actually is a bit new. There's no attack. They are just threatening you to attack you. So you receive a call, you have to pay, or we will attack you, and this actually is kind of new.
Okay, thank you. That was very, very clear. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to raise them on the chat area, and we will back to you at the end with the answer. Okay, Mark, I come back. Those with these different examples on different targets. Where the evolutions, I mean, from a historical point of view, I would say for ransomware.
Because ransomware isn't new. The first recorded attack was in 1989 with the AIDS virus. Given the technology of the time, it was quite simplistic. The file names were in fact encrypted. And in order to get the decryption key, you had to send $190 check to a post box in Panama. And of course, the police took an interest in this. They could quite rapidly find out who was behind this post box. But the technology has changed and improved to make the attack more viable. So we saw in 2008, 2010 the appearance of crypto monies.
Okay.
So especially Bitcoin, for example, a Bitcoin wallet, it's very difficult or almost impossible to know who's behind a Bitcoin wallet. In 2013, CryptoLocker was the first ransomware to put all this together and to demand payment in Bitcoins, but also they had a countdown so that if you paid within the time frame, you get the decryption key. If not, the price you had to pay would go up. Microsoft and other companies like that, of course, didn't sit idle during this time when they created defenses. Microsoft came up with shadow copies,
yes,
which is a way to create backups, snapshots of your data, so that if you suffered this kind of attack, you'd have a way to recover your data. The cyber criminals, of course, didn't rest either. They were keen to innovate, so they came up with WannaCry, which was well known. A lot of publicity around that particular attack. What this did, it exploited a vulnerability, internal glue, and spread rapidly through corporate networks.
Yes.
Whereas CryptoLocker before, for instance, had been spread by infected emails. The sad thing about WannaCry was it could have been stopped sooner if that particular vulnerability had been made public. It was known about before, but there you go. So then also the cyber criminals responded to Microsoft's shadow copies as well. So they started to create a ransomware that the first thing it did was delete the shadow copy.
Okay.
But as we see with ransomware, there's quite a lot of different skills you need to mount an attack. So with legitimate business, we've seen the emergence of software as a service. So the criminals, to put themselves in contact with each other, came up with ransom as a service. So
like a company.
Yes, it operates just like a company. So where their real-world counterparts, criminals have safe crackers and getaway car drivers are different specialists. Cyber criminals have their specialists as well. So we've got cyber criminals who get you the initial access to a company. You've got programmers to write the ransomware, and then those who specialize in getting the money.
Okay, I see. And by the way, I've read recently something about caddy wipers, and I'd like to know your point of view about that. I mean, are they ransomware or are they something else or nothing to do with them?
No, caddy wiper is purely to destroy data. It's just there for disruption. It's not a caddy wiper nowadays. It's not ransomware.
Okay, so they don't encrypt at all.
No. It's just going to destroy your data.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And Sebastien, what about the protection strategy? I mean, we're talking about ransomware, so we need to be aware that we need to be protected. And what is the first thing to do, actually?
Yeah, the first thing is not something to do. The first thing is to be aware of that you will be attacked.
Yes.
The attack will succeed at one time. So it's more a way of thinking. And thinking first, I need to be ready when something like that appears on my network or something like that succeeds. And it means working on the backup.
Yes.
How can I rebuild my information system in a short time lapse? Having backups that works, that are tested. I've seen too many companies trying to rebuild, but backups fail. When you are ready to do that, you can work on be able to work on protection. But first, be able to rebuild the system. Of course, working with having the awareness, working on the awareness of the employees is also very important.
Yes.
But moreover, working on the awareness of the COMEX,
the executive people that
managing the executive, that they should put the mean to all the employees to be aware and to be ready for those kinds of attacks.
Okay, thank you. So education is it's key in that kind of area. So Mark, from your technical point of view, what about how a ransomware is going to be articulated? It's going to be done. I mean,
Yes, well, the first thing that the cyber criminals need to do is to get access to the target company, to the victim.
yes.
So the cyber criminals, they can create their own phishing attack, for instance, to get access, or they can go to the darknet. We spoke about ransom as a service.
Yes.
So as part of this business, you can find initial access brokers, and these are people who will present you with who will present the cyber criminals with a catalog of companies. You can choose which one you want to attack. The cyber criminal can decide which company they want to attack and buy initial access cost them between $1,000 and $5,000, and the access broker will provide access either by phishing attack or weak passwords or an exploit of vulnerability.
Okay.
Once you've got the initial access, so they've got the initial access, the cyber criminals want to get further into the environment, find out more about the environment. The cyber criminal is going to look for things of value to them, machines they can compromise, weak passwords, or vulnerabilities they can exploit to achieve their aims.
Yes.
They'll look for sensitive data, for example, within the environment. And this process can take weeks or months. And then once they've got the information that they need, or they've penetrated enough into the environment, they're ready to start the attack. They can then launch their attack, which could be to exfiltrate data, for example, which they're then going to threaten to publish, or launch a ransomware attack. Ransomware attack will be launched. You'll get the ransom note, the countdown. You've got so long to pay. Put pressure on you, and then if you don't pay within the time, they're going to increase the price.
Okay, yeah, it's like offer and demand. Okay, and what about Sebastien from the ransomware, the real impact on the machine? I mean, do we have today to be aware of the file extension, for a general perspective, or is
regarding the impact? You mean does the file extension should be
recognizable?
Should you check on the file extension?
Yes.
Well, during the encryption, it's late. Of course, you will see some file extension, but it will be late. Before, you can check file extension for droppers or malware and avoid to click on it, but the file extension will be Word or Excel or executable file.
Yes.
So you can check the name. Sometimes it's mostly invoice inside the name. And when I say that, of course, there's other name, but it's when we have invoice, we have to pay attention. The impact will depend on what kind of ransomware you receive. If it's a one-shot ransomware with a phishing campaign targeting a lot of mailbox, you will actually have only one computer encrypted with sometimes backups or connected drive, but it will not. Mostly, it will not spread because it's not a gang that is managing the malware. It's more trying to have some payment from year to year, and some isolated computer. But if the malware is managed by a gang, then it will be very, very hard for you to detect, because before activating the encryption, it will try to spread over all the network, over all your assets, and the encryption process will be started when the whole access, the whole information system is compromised. So it will be also too late, and everything will be blocked.
So I was wondering, in case of that incident, by the way, how should we react? I mean, how can we create an effective incident response plan?
Okay, how should we react? Once you accepted that you will be a victim,
Yes.
you are going to work on a crisis management plan, recovery plan, and then you will also work on detection and protection. And of course, you will have to deploy tools. We are editor. Stormshield is an editor. We build tools for those kind of threat. Of course, you will have some tool like log management, like EDR, EPP protection for the endpoints, firewall, IP reputation, antivirus, sandbox, etc., etc. That's for the tools, and you will put processes in place, and of course human, because the tools without human is useless. And for that, you can rely on ISO 27K management, security management process, for example. But of course, you will have to educate your team, to make the team work on the process, and to be efficient with the tools you deploy. And then you will have a complete protection plan, detection plan, and response plan, and you will be as well as protected as we can.
Okay.
And of course, I think we have to remember also that it's important to go to the cyber police if you are a victim.
Okay, yeah,
very important. Yeah, very important to declare the incident and to
that you have been attacked. And by the way, this is a good point that you're raising, because the French cybersecurity agency recently published some cybersecurity reports, and in that case, they advised not to pay the ransom, for a company that has been hacked or attacked. In that case, Mark, I have a question for you, like Shakespeare would do. Pay or not to pay? That's the question. I mean, should we pay this ransom or not at all, or yes, but sometimes? What's the position about that?
Pay the ransom or not? It's a difficult question. In most law enforcement agencies, like the French agency, advise you not to pay. It's a question of ethics. By paying, you're supporting a criminal activity or encouraging a criminal activity. If you pay, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the decryption key, for example, although it's actually in the cyber criminals' interest to do what they're going to say they're going to do, because paying the ransom doesn't give any result, people won't bother.
Of course.
But even if you pay, the underlying security threat is still there in your environment. You haven't necessarily closed the entry point, and the cyber criminals could just come back and demand more ransom another time.
Yes.
So it might be better to invest the money instead of paying the ransom in improving the security in your environment.
Instead of paying the ransom.
So it's also a question of being pragmatic. What data is being stolen? What's its value? Is any of that data, has it been encrypted by me? Can the criminals decrypt it? And what backups have I got? Can I recover the data? These sort of questions you have to ask yourself as well. There's also the question of image, company image. But these days, that's not such a consideration, because so many big names have been suffered data breaches. There's been a lot of publicity about it, so there's no real shame in admitting that you've been attacked. A final point perhaps to consider, on balance, I would say not to pay, but if you do pay, it won't be covered by your insurance.
Yeah, so like Sebastien said earlier, first thing, I mean, when you've been attacked is to go to the police, cyber police. Okay, and what about the products, in the market that they're selling that, or they telling that they protect 100%? I mean, what about is there any product today that is as much
Well,
efficient as that?
no, there's no zero risk doesn't exist, and 100% protection isn't possible.
Yes.
So at Stormshield, we have the Stormshield Endpoint Security,
Mm-hmm.
SES evolution, and we've introduced additional layers to counter, additional protections to counter ransomware. We have protection of shadow copies, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to prevent shadow copies from being deleted.
Okay.
And the endpoint security agent also enforces the shadow copy snapshots are taken at least once a day. We have behavioral analysis protection, which is looking at file manipulation and any intense activities such as renaming files. It's going to mark as suspicious activity and block it.
Yes.
It takes some time or a little time for it to detect and react to kill the process. So a few files will be encrypted,
Mm-hmm.
but this before the ransomware is blocked. But it's not a big deal because you've got the shadow copies which are being protected, and SES also provides a list of the files that have been encrypted to help you recover those files. There's also another important point there: false positives. So they're obviously legitimate processes or legitimate applications such as Stormshield data security,
Yes.
which you can use to encrypt files. And you can add this to a compatibility list so that our protection won't block those and they can continue to be used.
Okay, and what about if ransomware tries to block or encrypt network share? I mean, is it possible, or how can we manage that?
Well, I say our behavior analysis is looking at the process of file manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll see encryption, block it, encryption process, and block it, whether it's on a network share, the local drive, or removable media. One thing you have to just be careful of with network shares is obviously that's on a remote machine. So you have to ensure that the remote machine is their backups, either shadow copies or other backups for that host machine for the network share.
Okay, yes, I understand. So, just to know, we are arriving at the end of this of our program, but I still have just one question for Mark. So, please do not hesitate to use the chat area if you want to raise your questions, and we will back to them at the end of the episode. So, Mark, just what about the configuration also of the workstation? I mean, is there something heavy to do, or is it transparent for the user? How it works, by the way?
On the workstation in the environment, you should activate the snapshot,
like you said earlier,
shadow
yes.
copies. For the workstations protected by the SES agent, there's nothing else to do. The SES console or configuration of SES comes with a default security policy, which includes the shadow copy protection and the behavioral analysis.
Yes.
But one thing you need to do is in the agent groups, with the SES, you organize your agents by groups. The agent groups, you need to activate the snapshot, the enforcement of snapshots, and the agent will make sure that the snapshots are taken at least once a day for shadow copies so that you've always got the most recent backup.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. That was very interesting for the product perspective and also for the insight of the ransomware, all the information that you provided. Also, thank you, Sebastien, for all your insight regarding the figures, also the trends. And I'm seeing we are arriving at the end. We still have 5 minutes, 10 minutes left. So I'm going to go through the questions. and let's get back to them. So one of them is the fact that in your product, is there any real-time analysis or not? And if it's cloud-based or on the on-premise, sorry. Wait, Mark or
I'll take that.
okay.
So yes, it's real time. In fact, all the analysis is done at the agent on the machine. There's no data sent to the cloud for analysis, for example. So it's very much in real time, and any logs in real time sent to the central administration console. The administrator can see, and the solution itself is an on-premise solution. It's not a cloud-based solution. So the user has full control of their own data, full autonomy. They're not exposed to anything dictated by a cloud operator or cloud act or something like that.
Okay, I think it's clear. If you need please more information, you can ask in the chat area. Do we have another one? Is there any cybersecurity in the organization that you are following right now or working with? I don't know, maybe Sebastien?
Actually, we are an editor, so we are working with a lot of companies and institutions, but
yes.
we are not following them. We are not managed services, or we are not integrators or operators. I don't know if it's the question, but we are selling our product. Of course, we are helping with the professional services when the customer needs specific deployment, specific development.
Yes.
And of course, we are also helping the company with a level 3 support.
Okay.
When there's a something like that. We try to be very close to our customer. We have the proximity is one of our main added value, I would say, and we try to be as quick to respond to those kind of support cases or development for those customers.
Okay, the idea is actually they are answering. It's more related to ransomware, so maybe Mark, you can add some points about that.
With the ransomware?
Yes, with the international cybersecurity.
Maybe it's we also. I don't know if it will respond to the question. We have a security team that is working day to day that is making cyber threat intelligence.
Yes.
They are watching the dark web. They are watching news samples to see if we need to correct our detection rules.
Okay.
And if we need to, we published immediately a correction that is available on my Stormshield. That will be available automatically on SES evolution and also on SMS. So available automatically.
The firewall part.
And the firewall part. And this team is working every day on scanning threats. So I guess that was the question.
Yeah, I think if you need more details on that, we can provide it either with Sebastien or with Mark, so it's not a problem. We have another one. I think this is a more product-related one. Is there any central administration available on the product? So the product is Stormshield Endpoint Security Evolution, ACS Evolution. So maybe Mark, you can give us some insights.
Yes, it's a centrally managed solution. There's a console which is included on the ACS server, and you can also install remote consoles on other machines, so that you can give your administrators access to or to be able to administer the product, manage the product in terms of agent organization, for instance, and the configuration that you want to set up.
Okay. For now, I don't have any more questions, so we can just wait a few seconds for those who are putting on the chat area. I remind you just, for your information, this episode will be available in a few days on our YouTube channel. So do not hesitate to watch or share it with your network. Also, if you need more information about this new product, we are at your disposal either by phone or by email or on the social media. So you can contact us, and we will answer you the best way we can. So I'm just checking for now. We don't have any more questions. I think we are just right on time. So thank you very much, Mark, for your time and for your expertise, and also Sebastian for your time.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
see you in the next episode of the As the Expert. So since then, I wish you a happy afternoon. Thank you. Bye.